Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is M. Modest here on board the mess deck of USS Iowa. And we're going to go ahead and get ready to show you a brand new product that I just got. We're going to go ahead and do a quick unboxing of Magic Factory's USS GERALD R4 CVN 78. This is a 1/700 scale, as I already mentioned to you. It is a plastic kit, not the resin kits that we've been seeing or the 3D printed kits that we've been seeing. So let's take a look to see what we have inside. First off, it's a beautiful box showing a good profile of the starboard bow, the GS class cruiser over there in the background, an F-35C lifting off, which it does show a couple of squadrons from them, as well as multiple FA-18 Hornets, Super Hornets, whatnot. But interestingly, it also has, what is that guy? That guy right there is your MQ-28, I have to look it up, is your MQ-25 Stingray, experimental drone and refueling aircraft. So that is really cool that they actually put that on to this model kit. I was pretty impressed seeing that side images, which you'll see in stills as well of those sides of the boxes and whatnot. But let's go ahead and open this thing up. And to start off right off the bat, you have your photograph of the decals and where they set, the paint and what you need to do. It's a 2-pager that's been folded. It shows all the squadrons of the planes that are on that Ford right now. On the back side, a very beautiful diagram of the Ford itself, islands, colors, the whole spiel. It's really cool beans. It's a beautiful looking sheet. Moving on from the sheet, we have a very interesting way of how they actually put their sprues together. It looks like for the larger sprues, they have it inside what looks like this very large plastic container. Very cool beans. That was really neat to see. Keeps everything separated. The flight deck itself, I'll show it to you in stills, is very well integrated. A lot of good markings on there. You can see the tie downs as well. Very nice detail, very well detailed. But the engraving's a bit big. We'll see what that happens a little later on. As soon as you remove that flight deck, we have two parts of the hull. We have the upper hull and lower hull. Again, I'm going to show this to you in stills, but you can see the angular portion, which is very distinctive of the Ford class. Besides the 3 elevators, 2 of them over there on the starboard side, as well as the one back on the port quarter. A lot of areas where we're going to be putting that overhang, but I like that part of that angled part of that bow there. Okay, looking at the aft portion, again, I'll show it to you in stills. Looks really cool beans. I mean, this thing is really nice. It's done very well. Magic Factory. Hangar bay, might be able to put one in there. Very likely. I'll probably be putting one in there. And of course, the option, check this out. The option of a lower hull. But what do you notice? Do you see it or not see it? Let me flip it over. Where is the seam? There are no seam lines on this thing. Sure, there's a few little areas where the sprue was probably broken off for molding. But other than that, it is beautiful. I mean, my gosh, how many times have we seen the lower hull with that seam going right down the middle that we all have to scratch out? Magic Factory, you did a great job on that. But let's take a look at the other parts of this model kit. So once you remove the lower and upper hulls and the flight deck, another portion, look at that, that is so interesting, of the way they protected that part of that model kit. And then everything else is pretty much like you would notice, everything pretty much as you notice in bags. I'm not going to unbag it just yet. I do want to show you that you have 2, 4, looks like 6 8, 10 different sprues. And what is this? What is this? Holy cow. It does come with a flight deck. You do not need to put a flight deck. And I'm going to show that to you in stills, but you can see the detail on there as well. Holy cow. Cool beans. And an overhang, ladies and gentlemen. We even have an overhang for that hangar deck. Sweet. Cool job, Magic Factory. Cool job. But let's get to the aircraft. The aircraft come in separate trees, pretty much, like we all seen. There's your F-18s there. Very well detailed. I'm not sure how many you got, but I'll take a look at that once I get home and unbox this thing and I'll remove the plastic. Your E2s, if you notice there, oh my gosh, you kidding me? It has what looks like the 8-bladed props on there for those E2s. Very well detailed, not even photo etched. Okay, so cool beans, cool beans. The next sprue looks like it's helicopter blade. No, those are the ship screws. The ship screws, I say, ship screws, not propellers. Propellers are on planes. And a small set of F-35Cs. There's only 6 of them I could see, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit more detail in just a moment. Moving on to the aircraft, it seems like, whoops, sorry about that. I tell you, I'm really on board the USS Iowa here.
Now set material condition yoke throughout the ship. Make yoke reports to DC Central.
Pretty neat. There is no photo etch that I've seen, but the decal sheet is quite extensive for the squadrons that are on board the GERALD 4, as well as flight deck markings that you can kind of see through the plastic. Sorry about that. I haven't totally unboxed it, but you get the idea. Last thing, the instructions. Let's take a look at them from Magic Factory. Of course, it shows you the layout of all the parts that are there. A little history about what the ship is and what it does. And it shows a pretty decent looking set of instructions for you to build your kit. The fantail looks really extensive. Wow, that's a lot of detail, a lot of slide mold, it looks like, on this kit, as well as some of the protrusions, some of the galleries that are underneath the flight deck that's there. Good placement where it looks like. I haven't even test fitted it to see how it looks like inside, but everything looks honky-dory. Nice detail in the elevators. There's your hangar deck. Look at that. Wow, that is so cool. Bulkheads, hangar deck, overhang for the GERALD 4. Back aft on the fantail, you'll notice that you have several things that are included on those aircraft carriers for their launch of Liberty boats. But sorry, there is no photo etch on this. Oh, JBLs. Oh, I don't know, those JBLs. Those JBLs. I should have put photo etch on that. The good thing is that I do have one of the rarer gold medal models of the Nimitz class. Since it's pretty similar, I'm sure I could probably use some of that on this ship as well. Catwalks look pretty good. Okay. A lot of detail for the sat domes. And of course, that tennis court. I don't know why it's so large. Why is it so large? I have to figure that out. Island detail. Very nice island detail that we have on this model kit from Magic Factory. Mast looks good. Nicely detailed. We'll see when we remove the plastic. But like I said, there is no photo etch. Wait, is there a photo etch on there? Wait a minute, there is. Where is it? Maybe it's underneath the decals, okay? So I'll take a look. Here's your aircraft and how to put those guys together, and the stand that comes with it. Pretty decent looking stand from Magic Factory. So let's see, let me flip this puppy over, and voila! there is a small fret, very small fret photo etch. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with unboxing a little bit more detailed now that I'm back at home. We already showed you how this thing is actually being put together with this plastic cover. The flight deck, as already mentioned to you, very well produced. A lot of detail on this. Arresting cables, kind of strangely, there's only 3. I have to look that up. Probably that's correct. There is only 3 cables now. These protrusions that are out here to the side, be extremely careful. Those are not protrusions there. Those are actually those little ramps that carriers now have to dispose of any unexploded ordnance. So at first I thought when I looked at that kit at the beginning, there's even one over here at the forward catwalk here and another one on the other side. At first I thought there were, little stingers from a sprue tree, and I was getting ready to lop those off, but be careful. Don't cut those off. Do not cut those guys off, okay? Don't cut those off. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, let me try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them scattered about the flight deck. And there's one on each of the elevators as well, as I was looking through the instructions last night. Moving on with the hull, very nicely detailed. A lot of good looking cutouts and vents that they had on the ship. But I'm more impressed with the way the fantail came out. There was a series of vents that were up there in the upper portion of that fantail that's nicely produced. Although the port side looks pretty bland, we're going to be putting sponsons and galleries along that edge. But the more important thing, as I mentioned to you, is that really cool, or very unique, I should say, display of that angled cut of that upper hull, which I noticed, and some of you probably have noticed on the Ford class compared to the Nimitz class, where it's nice and flush, it's nice and curved. Also, for obvious reasons, for the radar cross sections. Okay, so that's the upper hull. As far as the lower hull, come here, buddy. As I mentioned to you, there are no seams. There's no seam line on this thing. Sure, there might be a little bit of a demarcation where the parts are put together, but as far as sanding down that one area that we're all used to seeing all the time on our models, that does not exist on this Gerald R. Ford, which I was very impressed with. I'd never seen that. You know, this looks like a seam. It's actually part of the ship itself. So moving on, what about the rest of the kit? Again, another big plastic carrying case. It makes sense. You know, you want something like this to protect those larger pieces, especially those little escape chutes for the unexploded ordnance. You probably wanted that to make sure that those parts don't break off. So very unique design on Magic Factory. But let's go ahead and start opening up this kit. I'm going to just get the first 2 parts. Open it up and just show you the detail of some of this kit here. So again, nicely ribbed. This is the underside of the flight deck, probably on the port side. It looks like, no, starboard side, because you can see the 2 elevator markings. This is the port side. Nice ribbing of the undergirders that you would see. All this other stuff will probably be hidden away. Even though you have ejection pin marks on some of these pieces, they're probably going to be put into the model so it doesn't really show up that well. You have what looks like on the catwalk, possible firefighting equipment, refueling equipment, AFFF equipment, electrical gears, whatnot, maybe even some ladders. I might redo those ladders. We'll see. There is one that's right up here that looks okay. It looks like a little bit of the Aztec looking staircases that we would see. On the other sprue, it shows the huge gallery that we have here. Not sure if I'm showing it the correct way. This is probably the correct way. Again, another small little sponson right there that sticks out. There's a couple of them that I noticed. Not sure what those are, but we'll take a look at that when we start doing the build. There's several of them. So again, be very careful handling this kit. There's a lot of fine detail, small fine detail that's on there, and it makes this kit look quite exquisite. You have those vents that are along the side of those galleries as well, also on the back end, looks like on the starboard side. On the next bag that I've opened up, it looks like this part right here, this baggie looks like it is the hangar deck. You have a lot of bulkhead displays up there, a lot of good piping. It looks like maybe even a slight demarcation for that mud line that you see at the bottom of those bulkheads to show where the bulkhead actually meets the deck of the ship or the deck of the hangar. A lot of good detail on this. It also looks like they have the parts of the fantail for this guy as well. Nothing on the other side. That's okay. And the sponsons, a few more of the sponsons look like the forward and aft sponsons. I could tell that guy is going to be your forward sponsons there on port and starboard side. This guy is your big, giant, I don't know, a tennis court that we have here. It's really huge. I still don't know why the Gerald R. Ford has this large area on that port quarter. Again, nice ribbing up there for the detail for the underneath portion of the ship. So good stuff. Looks good so far. Moving on. It looks like the J sprue is the mast, as you can see up there. I have a DVD from Ray D. Bean. He doesn't make them anymore. He's in retirement, but he had a set of DVDs, CDs of multiple different subjects. The last one he did was on the Ford. I do have that CD. I misplaced it temporarily. I'll have to find that thing again for this build. But this shows the mast, some of the fantail portions. My brain just farted for the moment. But it shows some excellent detail of the mast, part of the island details, the shafts that I will replace. I always replace these with a brass part because it is way too flimsy for my taste. For those of you who have seen my builds, you know that I always replace those with a brass rod going through those struts of that propeller shaft, the screw shafts there. Nice detail on rudders, okay, and whatnot. Moving on, second sprue. They're all these bags come in two sprues. They all have two sprues. It looks like a lot of the other island detail. I could be mistaken, but I see some sat domes that are there for us to build out. Flip side, not much detail, just parts where you're probably going to be gluing them down onto. The next part are the elevators. Really quickly, as I already mentioned to you, the elevators do have that small little sprue right there. I'll try to show it to you in pictures as well. So be very careful. Don't knife those off. Don't come by and say, oh, that's a piece of, no, that's a big time no. That's gonna be a very necessary part for you to display where those chutes are for when they dispose of unexploded ordnance. The elevators look pretty good in detail. There are some pin marks way deep inside the recesses there. But overall, it looks okay. They give you the option of either an open or a closed hangar bay. Obviously, with having a hangar bay, having a hangar bay, I'll talk to you about that in a moment. I'm going to obviously go for that open door option. The second sprue on there shows the stand. There, it looks pretty robust, looks pretty thick. It's very different looking, as well as the bow section, the bulbous bow that we have here, and some other catwalk looking thing that's over here on this other side. Again, a lot of good detail on this guy, good ribbing along here. The bulbous bow looks good as well. So moving on. The next sprue I'm pulling out is your S sprue and your R sprue, I think I saw briefly. These look like they are part of the island. The S sprue right here shows a big block for that island, and this guy's just jetted way out there. That's the island itself. Good detail. As I saw on some pictures of Gerald R. Ford, which you can find on navsource.com, they do show the proper placement of the doors, as well as, sorry about that, as well as it looks like some of the firefighting equipment that you would have facing a flight deck. But why is that so far out? Maybe it's just to protect it so it doesn't get damaged. These are some sponsons that are hanging out from the aft end of the island. And you'll see that if you actually take a look at the pictures of the actual Gerald R. Ford. Again, some more island detail parts. This is the R sprue. Shows the radar sets. I think there was a set of photo etch that comes with the kit, as I mentioned to you, and some of those radar sets belong up on the mast as well. Again, very good, very good. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the screws. They're individually put together in a sense of where you have this circular sprue with the fins, the blade, excuse me, of the screw itself. Very well detailed. I'm a little hesitant about that. I'm assuming that I'm going to come by and cut on either side of that circle. Either side of that circle, cut that out with the sprues, and then very, very carefully score, but not cut, score each one of those blades, and then to release some of the pressure, actually go ahead and cut them through. So that's going to be kind of important. Hopefully that doesn't break off any of those blades. But they are in different directions. Are they? They are. These two guys here go one direction clockwise, yikes, and then the other two down below here and here on the left side, they go on the other side. So one thing, maybe they put them in that direction so you don't get confused, right to right, left to left when you put them onto the shafts. This is a dual sprue. As you see, this is the Q sprue that we have up here. And I never mention it, sorry about that. But you'll see that when you get your own kit. Next is the hangar deck. I misspoke during part of the video saying that it was the flight deck. This is the hangar deck, which I was very, very pleased about when I was opening this kit for the first time and taking a look at that. A lot of great detail that you can see. Let me bring it around this way so you can see it a little bit better. A lot of great detail on this kit in the sense of tie downs, the track for the fire doors, the elevators, I'm assuming for the weapons elevators. I had a big problem on the Ford. I hope they got that resolved. And obviously the places where it's gonna meet up with the bulkhead. But the cool part was the overhang, which really blew me away. Never expected to see, let alone the hangar deck and the overhang on a ship. I've never built an overhang on any of my aircraft carriers, the ones I've built so far. But that was a nice touch. But I'm going to try to, drill out a few holes to display this with LED lights. You know about that. If you see my channel, you know how I've done that, and you know what kind of lights I'll be using. So stand by for that one. That's going to be really cool beans on that. 3 baggies of aircraft. This is the L and K sprues. L sprue shows the AWACS, the E2C, I'm assuming D model. But the crazier part is if you take a look really closely at that corner, you have the 8-bladed propellers on that aircraft. I was just really amazed seeing that. And it's so finely detailed. I mean, seriously, I might go with photo etch, but that's really cool that Magic Factory actually produced something like that. Very, very fine detail on that one. But you only get, how many aircraft? You get 2 E2s, okay? You get 2 E2s on this one. Now, on the second sprue on that baggie, you get this guy. Oh, that MQ-25 Stingray, which some of us know about, but this is a drone tanker. It's a drone tanker that the Navy is deploying on their ships. Now, they were experimenting with this back in during the pandemic in 2020, 2021, 2022 possibly, but it looks like in 2023 they're actually deploying this. So I was stoked. I was just really flabbergasted seeing that. The only thing is though, with both the aircraft, they do not show with folded wings. I don't know. Do you want that option or not? I think it's cool looking with the wings unfolded in its launching position and its flying position. But there you go, your MQ-25 Stingray on that K sprue. On the next baggie, it looks like you have your life rafts on that P sprue. You have dual sets of those, not worried about that. They do look in good detail. But you also have 4 sets. I think it's 4 sets, maybe not. 2 sets of each. 4 aircraft on the O sprue, 4 aircraft on the N sprue. It looks like you got the F-18E and F models here. So one of them is the single seat, the other one is the dual seat. Thing I want to see is that exhaust. And the exhaust, excuse me, not the exhaust, the intakes. And the intakes do have that squared off looking intake. Not too well molded, okay, -1 on that. Okay, but I could probably drill that out as well. Not a big deal about that. So you have those guys. And then our last sprue, everybody's favorite or unfavorite, is your F-35s. And you have 2 sprues of those. This is the F-35C, the C model, not the A, that's Air Force, not the B, that's Marines, okay? But the C model, C for carrier, F-35C. The only thing is though, even though they have great detail, they have their stabilizers and vertical stabilizers, as well as their own landing gear. I'm gonna try to find a way to make the landing gear photo etch for all of my planes, because that's what I do. That's what I do personally. I like the photo etch. I've always been very comfortable using photo etch landing gears, because the plastic ones, they just look too bulky. They look too thick, but they look really good. I haven't really taken a look at this too carefully, but it does look like it shows like maybe just a little bit of a sprue plug and fine detail for that landing gear. So who knows? Maybe I might use the landing gear for the first time on a model kit. So as far as the aircraft that you get, you have 8 FA-18s, E and F models. You have 6 of the F-35Cs. That's 14 aircraft right there. You have just two MQ-25 Stingrays. So you're up to 16, and the 2 E2s. No helicopters. Bummer. Okay, no helicopters. Not many aircraft. You only get 18. Okay, so, you could do a few things. You modelers know what to do. You can get more aircraft. You can get different types. You can fill up the flight deck. So, it's down to price. Do you want more planes? You could do that. But then the thing is, though, do you have enough decals? Okay, which we're going to take a look at right now. So as far as the decals, there are two sets. One for the aircraft. So if you do get multiple planes, do you have enough decals for them? Really quickly, I want to point out right off the bat, as I was looking at the instructions, they even showed the numbers, the codex numbers for them, as well as, sorry about that, some of the detail for the CAGs and the other planes of the squadron. So very, very colorful. Oh, look at that. The MQ. The MQ-25, you don't need to paint those parts orange. They already got it there for you already. So that's cool beans. And the other airplane that I just remembered, there are no FA-18G models. Where is your EW aircraft? So again, they're a little bit short on airplanes. Maybe the EW aircraft are not part of the carrier wing right off the bat. But the other sheet, they're very well protected. Let me get this guy out. The other sheet, very nicely printed out. Again, made in China. Don't knock it. Don't knock it. Okay. But it's very nicely printed out. The film is very nicely printed. There's it looks like there's some errors or cuts on the white portions of that landing strip. I think they're just as cutouts for part of the catapults and whatnot, the EMALs. But it shows the helicopter landing sites, even though we don't have helicopters. Okay, shows warning circles, your red and white walking areas. Some areas as well for what looks like small little printed out warning signs, maybe for the bulkheads of the hangar deck. But it's good. It's good. There we go. There are some things I wanted to see. Okay, these little guys right here that you will see when the aircraft carriers are refueling. Where does the fresh water? Where does the fuel go? Where does all those other necessary things whenever they're doing an unrep? You have your unrep decals. You have your air wing decal that you would usually see in the front portion of the islands there. So all in all, the decals look very superb. And of course, at the very end, which kind of caught me by surprise, didn't know it had one until I was looking through the instructions, a small photo etch section, a small fret of the netting of around the flight deck. Now, the only thing it doesn't show are some other things, which I'm going to point out in just a moment. So what do you think? Magic Factory did, I think, a superior job. They did a superior job on building out a Gerald Ford. I really enjoy looking at that kit. The brand's really coming out really nice. The first thing they think they built was that iron dome that the Israelis have for their defense forces. And then they started expanding, getting some very unique topics that M Razor that I produced, that I showed a video on. The Gerald Ford in plastic. I just looked at their site just today on the 5th of January, 2024. And they're showing now a Ukraine M2 Bradley with their paint, with that digital camouflage paint. So Magic Factory is working on it. They're doing a really great job. I'm very impressed on their detail, very impressed with their packaging. That's really cool beans, having those pieces separated. And it makes sense because of those small little chutes for the unexploded ordnance around the flight deck. So that made sense. You don't want that to be banging around loosely in a bag with all the other sprues. As far as the detail, superb. What are some cons? There's few. There are a few. It's not all positive, but you know what? As a modeler, as an experienced modeler, like I think you all know, there are some improvements that can be done. For example, no F-18G Hornets, the EW type Hornets. More robust photo etch, possibly more planes. As far as the ship itself, I really can't complain too much, maybe except for the flight deck, having the engraved, not raised, but the engraved lines around the flight deck. I mean, granted, there are going to be some younger modelers that might want that as a guide to help them place their decals and whatnot. So that makes sense. But for us, more experienced modelers, we really don't like it. But you know what? You do what you want to do, Magic Factory. It's a great kit. I'm very pleased. I've been waiting for a long time for this type of ship to come out in plastic, not 3D printed, not resin. Resin is too expensive. 3D print is just has its many, many flaws because of the way it's actually put together. But as far as aircraft, you can get extra aircraft that are 3D printed. To be honest, Le Arsenal does a great job doing that. Take a look at Le Arsenal from France. So other than that, the kit's great. I enjoy it and can't wait to build it. When? That's another story. For those of you who know me and my channel, I'm kind of backlogged for the things I need to do. So it's going to happen. It will occur. But I just want to show you the unboxing of Magic Factory's 1700 Gerald R. Ford class CVN 78. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that unboxing and look forward to your comments. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you soon. Ciao.